Hi, I'm Valerie, and this is January of 2020, and I'm doing this video to sort of record the first days as I'm starting out on a new endeavor in this year, where I hope to try month by month sort of lifestyle hacks or changes to see what sort of impact they have, hopefully positive, on my life and well-being. So the first one I'm trying, like many people for January, is trying to adjust how I'm eating, my overall diet. And I'm hoping to try this, if it goes well, as a positive lifestyle change as opposed to, a diet per se. I have some trepidation about things related to diet. I think as I've gotten older, I'm in my early 40s, I think your body adjusts. I think many women in particular, there's a lot of stigmatization, culturally institutionalized, about youth culture and how a woman should look and what's feminine and what's attractive. And I'm very opposed to feeding into that. I think me being confident and comfortable with myself is the most important thing, and certainly being attractive to my partner. I'm a married lady, so as long as my person is okay with me, and certainly first that I'm okay with me, that's what's important. I do absolutely believe in health at any size. And I don't think that I need to look the way I did when I was, 16 or 18. My life is different and better in many ways. So I want to kind of put that out front, that I'm not endorsing or saying anyone needs to be a certain size or a certain way. I've taken a long time, and like anyone, it's an ongoing battle with being comfortable with myself. So this change to the way I'm eating, I'm not going to lie and say it's not related at all to my overall size, but the focus is on how I feel. So over the past couple years, I guess, when I was in my late 30s, I had a major lifestyle shift in that I left a very active amateur sports practice. I was a roller derby player for about 12 years, which is a contact sport. I was heavily involved. I was on the all-star team. I coached, so I was very active. I had several sort of injuries along the way as far as breaking feet and ankles. I had sort of overuse injuries in terms of I have bursitis in my knees. Some of that eased when I stopped doing the repetitive actions that led to some of that. But I would say that some of my joint related stuff has never gone away. They're not like they used to be anyway. Part of that I think is related to inflammation in my body. I also have rosacea, which is a skin condition. And according to this Google page I'm reading right now, it's described as a condition that causes redness and often small red pus-filled bumps on the face. It's just as attractive as it sounds. And also, according to this page, it's often called acne rosacea, and it most commonly affects middle-aged, fair-skinned, that's also me, women. And the key symptoms are facial redness with swollen red bumps and small visible blood vessels. So it's not especially attractive, I think, to other people. It's not especially attractive to me. Just to zoom in here. I don't know if that can focus. Yeah. So you can see I have some of the like little baby pimples and some broken blood vessels, as well as facial hair. Ooh. When you zoom in, you really see that. And one of the things that I am particularly not thrilled about is that it causes like a textural change in my skin, which kind of makes it hard to even cover up. If I have to be on camera for work or at a work function, primarily I work from home, and those are the times that I generally wear makeup. I don't wear makeup a lot at home, but I am going to be on camera, or I am going to be seeing other people professionally. It makes me self-conscious. It's also uncomfortable. My skin is very sensitive, it's very reactive. It causes like tightness and sort of dryness and burning. So I don't love any of those things. So I know for having this for a number of years, it also causes dry eye syndrome. And I wear contact lenses, so it kind of makes my eyes dry and sort of painful. They often look bloodshot. So all of these things, especially I work in the education field, I feel like can be distracting from the message or what I'm trying to teach, and I just don't feel as comfortable as I feel like I could be. Now, I'm definitely working on just being comfortable with myself, but if I could alleviate some of these symptoms, particularly related to my sight, that would certainly be good. I will definitely say I wouldn't be sad if my clothes fit better. I don't necessarily have to go down a size, but the ones I have after the holidays, and the overindulgence that results from that, I think I would feel better as well. I am what I like to say is a conscientious omnivore, so I do eat all foods. There's nothing that I say that I absolutely won't eat. But I do have a past of being a vegan at one point, and I was vegetarian for several years. I would like a diet that is primarily plant-based, and with conscience, then selecting the meats or animal products that I eat would be sort of my ideal version of myself, and I would like to get closer to that path. So with that said, the method that I'm choosing to use, I knew that in the past, like many women, I've tried many different methodologies when it comes to healthful eating. And I know I do really well tracking. And I have a number of friends who have used the WW program, which is formerly Weight Watchers, which is not a name I love. Which is why I think they've rebranded themselves as WW. I know, like I said, several close friends have had really positive results with that. So I thought I would give it a try for a month. I began on January 2nd. It's now the 6th. So, 4 short days, and it's going pretty well. My initial reaction to it was, I like that there's an app, it prompts me tracking things. It's sort of like gamification. Like I said, I work in the education field, so there's a whole trending like gamify whatever you're doing for success. I also like Jane McGonigal's Super Better book, which talks about gamification for lifestyle things. Hers was related to illness. Great book, recommend it. So those aspects of it I like. It does have a community aspect called Connect. I am not a big social media person. I'm more of a Gen X, maybe that's related to it, but I'm more of a lurker than I am a joiner. So I haven't done that much more than just sort of read that, though I do hear good studies in terms of the more you engage in that stuff as far as accountability, that could be positive. And I know from change management that also is positive, but I am sort of sharing my experience with my partner, my husband, and that's good. It's almost too good. It's a little easier for me than direct connection with strangers. Overall, the program itself, I have to say, it had me answer some questions, and it recommended a program where I have fewer what they call points a day tracking your food. Each food has specific points, and then there's a whole bank of foods that are 0 points. And the plan it assigned me based on the questionnaire it gave me is, I think, fewer daily points, weekly points, but a larger number of 0 point foods. So pretty much any fruits and vegetables, including potatoes, which are, I love potatoes, are 0-point foods. It's only if you add, dairy or oil or something like that, you would need to track those things. And that's my goal, is to primarily eat those things. So far, I have a lot of points left at the end of each day, which I'm hoping is a good thing. Eggs also, I believe, are 0 points. I don't love eggs, but good to know. I think poultry, like lean cuts of chicken or turkey, are also 0 points. Again, those are all things that are pretty easy not to overeat on. So, it makes sense, I guess, from a logic standpoint, and these are all primarily anti-inflammatory foods.
Okay, so it's been a month, actually more than a month, about 6 weeks after starting my lifestyle experiment for January 2020, and I'm actually into February's experiment, but that's another video. And I wanted to give an update on sort of how things went and what I'm still doing, if I got what I intended to out of January's experiment. And I would say, spoiler alert, for the most part, I did. So the things I kind of identified as my goals for taking a closer look at my diet, tracking my food, trying to be more plant-based, were things like overall just kind of feeling better physically and mentally. I was hoping for an improvement in my rosacea, in my dry eye syndrome, which is related to the rosacea. I was hoping for my clothes to fit a little better, making more conscious decisions about what I was choosing to eat, being more plant-based in those choices, and just kind of paying attention to cause and effect in terms of what I'm eating on a regular basis. So kind of to go through those things, I found using the WW tool to be really effective in helping me just be aware of what I was eating, how much, what my portion sizes were like. It was really helping me be more aware of being prepared. So coming up with a plan, kind of what my household was going to eat for the week, and kind of thinking about food in a different way, approaching it in terms of, I'm a really big foodie. I'm eating one meal and I'm thinking about the next meal. So thinking about food a lot is not something that's unusual for me, but I think it did help me think about it more in terms of what was going to help me stay full, what was after I ate, how was I going to feel? Was I going to feel energetic, or was I going to feel tired? Was I going to feel overly full based on how much I was eating and what I was eating? So all of these things I feel like tracking my food really helped with. And I'm not saying that you have to use like the WW app. There's tons of other apps. I think I used MyFitnessPal in the past. I've just used, a notebook before, and that really helps. It also really helped me, like I said, be aware of portion sizes. I think sometimes you just, eat a heaping serving size of whatever, and you're not thinking about how much food that actually is. And I didn't restrict myself in any way and say, oh, well, I can't have, 2 servings if I'm hungry. I just tried to start with an actual serving size. So, starting with, if it was a protein, 3 or 4 ounces of that, as opposed to just, whatever size the chicken breast was, being aware of what size the chicken breast actually was. And is it actually 2 or more servings in that single item? So that, I think, was really beneficial for me. I do feel better, and I I'll have to look up the attribution for the quote, but I think the quote I'm thinking of is that confidence or success in one area can lead to success in others. So I think overall, mentally, I felt better in that I know that I'm doing something to improve my general well-being, that I have a plan. And when I had some success with it, that confidence, I think, has bled over into other aspects of my life, which is very nice. As far as my rosacea, I am working today, so I do have makeup on my face at the moment, so hopefully my skin looks better than the last video. When I reviewed the video from the beginning of January, I was like, wow, my skin looked really inflamed at that moment. And I do still have some flare-ups. I don't think I'm in the midst of a flare-up now, which I think I would attribute somewhat to my diet. I have been paying attention to not having as many inflammatory foods. I had a dry January as well. Alcohol is a inflammatory. So I think that definitely helped. I did have moments, spicy foods, hot temperature-wise foods can cause a flush. I did experience some of that. I've cut way back on the amount of dairy that I'm eating. I am still having yogurt, but I'm having much less cheese and other types of dairy than I normally do. And I do think that that impacted my rosacea in terms of getting the small pimples. And I'm going to insert some photos that I took earlier without my makeup on to show that overall I think the redness is down. Now, some of the damage to my skin, like the broken blood vessels, there's nothing that's really going to change that outside of laser procedures, which I'm not ready to go down that path. But like I said, I do feel like the inflammation is minimized there for the time being. And I think it would continue to get better. I will also say it's not a single factor when it comes to the rosacea or the dry eye syndrome. We're having a relatively mild winter here in northeastern part of the United States. I'm in Pennsylvania, and it's getting cold, but it's not like super, super cold. So I have not had as many problems. I think the dry air also really impacts my eyes as well. So overall, I'd say it's a little better, but again, seasonality impacts that as well. My clothes are fitting a little better, so that's a good thing. And like I said, being more conscientious, we definitely are having more plant-based meals. I think, as I mentioned previously, when it comes to the WW system, the one that I'm on, the purple one, all fruits and vegetables are 0 points. So I generally start with fruits and vegetables and then work, a plant-based protein in. I, again, have been doing a lot of planning. It's easy for me in terms of meal prep to do like brown rice or a non-wheat pasta, like a lentil pasta, and make a batch of that, and then a batch of dal, lentils, or beans. And then I usually eat that with some veggies all week for lunch, which is super easy to reheat. I know it's always there. It's filling. I've also been trying to be really conscientious about I eat when I'm hungry. So my day usually starts pretty early. My husband and I usually have breakfast together between 6:30 and 7. So, 4 hours later, I'm hungry. So even though it's not officially lunchtime, I go ahead and eat. And then in another 3 or 4 hours when I'm hungry, I go ahead and eat. So usually I'm eating, 3 meals and a snack, or 4 times a day in general. I also try after breakfast and after dinner, I try to like floss and brush my teeth as like a signal to myself that, you know, you can eat again if you're really hungry, but are you really hungry? Did you drink enough water? Like actually listening to the cues. Or are you bored? Are you watching something or reading something and you just kind of want a snack? So just kind of being a little more aware of that. I feel good making those deliberate choices and actually kind of paying attention, being sort of mindful with my body's cues. As I mentioned before as well, I think it's been helpful to really pay attention to how I feel after meals. Again, if I have a serving of something and then I still want seconds, I'll go and get some more, but usually I try to make sure like that a lot of the plate is the vegetables, because if I don't want the vegetables, then I'm not really hungry, am I? And often after I have a second helping, I'll be like, ugh, I kind of don't feel great. I think I'm like relearning that I feel a little better if I don't get full up to here. Which may sound like, if you're somebody who's not drawn to food, this may sound completely weird. But if you are someone who really enjoys food, you may know what I'm talking about. Like, if you're eating lighter things, sometimes you don't get that fullness that you associate when you're eating like a lot of pasta and bread and stuff. Bread, though, that's a good notion. So I am trying to be more sort of whole food conscious, less preservatives, less ingredients, pretty, like surfing the outside perimeter of the supermarket, going for the vegetables, meats, eggs, and leaving like the processed stuff in the middle alone. To that end, I do love bread. I love carbs. And I couldn't really I don't like low calorie bread. I think it kind of tastes gross. I would rather have a whole grain. So I do like to bake. So I found a recipe online, and I will link to it in the description, for a really easy, no knead whole grain bread recipe. And I have tweaked it to kind of work for me. The recipe I found was like half white, half stone ground wheat. And I have upped the amount of wheat in it. Like I said, it's a very simple recipe. I make, a loaf of bread or 1.5 a week, depending. And I eat it sparingly, but I do like, if I want to have a piece of toast, I like to be able to have that good bread. So I've enjoyed that as a side effect. Things that I think that were very successful using the WW app, the tracking I mentioned, it has been a deterrent for me to really think about if I'm hungry, if I really want that thing. Sometimes it's sheer laziness. Like, I don't want to try to figure out how many tablespoons that was, or what the ingredients are. Like, it's kept me from eating things that I did not prepare, because I don't want to try to figure out what was in it. And I get like this weird compulsiveness where I want to record everything when I'm tracking. It's like a form of honesty to myself. I enjoyed, with the WW app, like the gamification of it. Like, I am a competitive person, and it was a competition against myself. And so I really wanted to have points left at the end of each day. It got to be like a little like, how can I creatively make a recipe and have the most amount of points left? I like that when they ask you questions and determine kind of what your goals are, what your food preferences are, that you don't have to set it for weight loss, that you can set it for healthy eating habits. So I really liked that was a focus. I also like that there's really nothing you can't eat. Like, my challenge often is, social gatherings are often about food. So if I'm hosting, I can make sure that there are healthy options. If I go somewhere, I can make sure I bring something that's a little healthier if I'm not in control of what the options are. And that's the same thing if you have any food allergies or strong preferences. If you've been vegetarian or vegan, then you kind of get used to those hacks where if you're going to someone's house, you don't want to put anyone out if they don't eat the same way that you do. So you just bring something along that you can share that is something you can snack on. I did still have pizza for special occasions. I did have birthday cake at a friend's house for their kiddo's birthday. It was delicious. I did go over my points allowance when doing that. But that's, I do appreciate that there is nothing where they're saying, oh, this food is bad, but this food is good. It's more about, again, how you're going to approach it and how balanced you're going to be with it. So all in all, I am still tracking. I am still using the app. I think I may still do it through the end of this month. And then I'm probably going to let it fall to the wayside because it's about $20 a month, which I'm the cheapest human alive. So if I don't need to spend that, I would rather put that money towards something else. And I feel like the end of this month, they say it takes 21 days to form a habit. I feel like the habit is established with me at this point. I just want a little bit more reinforcement. Maybe I'll look up a few more recipes because I have used the recipe aspect of it. So it's been a good experience. I intend to continue tracking my food, just sort of keeping myself where I want to be. Though that again will probably, I don't know. I think it'll probably wane. I'll get tired of doing it at some point, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But I do intend to keep sort of the positive aspects of this going beyond it. So that is my story about January 2020 and my attempt to reset my eating habits in a healthier direction. And my disclaimer is this is just what worked for me. Everybody's going to find what works for them. I don't think anyone should have to do anything they don't want to. You do you. Long story short, try it if you like. So thanks for watching this far. Wow, if you got all the way through this, congrats. I would love to hear what you're trying in the new year. If you've tried the WW app or another form of tracking or another methodology to get your eating habits where you want them to be. If you have rosacea, I would love any tips or suggestions that you have. If you liked this content, I'd ask you to subscribe and hit the bell so you get notifications.